Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. NBA Insider says Dwayne Wade carried LeBron James in the 2011 NBA Finals. In an appearance on First Take this Wednesday, NBA Insider Brian Windhorst gave his brutally honest review of the 2011 NBA Finals. Speaking candidly on the series, Windy argued that LeBron, the first overall pick in 2003, was being carried against the Mavericks by his main teammate and co-star, Dwayne Wade. The 2011 Finals is forgotten in history, said Windhorst on First Take. Dwayne Wade's performance in that Finals, it is a crime. LeBron didn't take advantage, said Windhorst. Nobody has carried LeBron in a Finals like Wade carried him in 2011. The Big Three Heat were formed in the summer of 2010 when 4x MVP LeBron James, now 39 years old, made his iconic decision to join forces with Dwayne Wade and former Raptors big man Chris Bosh. At the time, the Heat were heavily favored over the field and their combined star power was enough to give them the edge against most opponents. When the Heat reached the Finals later that season, however, things took a turn for the worst. The King averaged just 17.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 6.8 assists per game on 47.8% shooting in that series, which the Mavericks won in 6 games. To this day, that performance is widely considered to be the greatest blemish of LeBron's otherwise extraordinary career. Meanwhile, Dwayne Wade, a 3x NBA champion, was going off against the Mavericks. He averaged 26.5 points, 7.0 rebounds, and 5.2 assists in the series, including 32 points in Game 4, which the Heat lost by 3. Without the steady play of Wade, the Heat might have been swept in the series, as LeBron was a virtual no-show from the jump. To make matters worse, he was trash-talking the other side and feeding them motivation with self-confidence that he was unable to back up. LeBron would go on to redeem his performance in that stretch by winning the next 2 championships, but not everyone has forgotten just how bad he was in that moment. Dwayne Wade almost certainly remembers, given that the poor play of his superstar teammate probably cost him a chance at winning his second title at the time, 4th in total. LeBron, a 20x All-Star, and his Heat teammates broke up when he rejoined the Cavaliers in 2014. Since then, he's had varying degrees of success with other stars, from Kyrie Irving to Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. But between Wade, Irving, and Davis, I can agree with both analysts that Wade is probably the best of all of James' teammates. His heroics in the playoffs saved the Heat on multiple occasions, and the case can be made that he's the one who first taught LeBron what it takes to win it all. If it weren't for Dwayne Wade, I could make a legitimate argument there would have never been a Kyrie Irving. LeBron didn't know how to win until he got to Dwayne Wade. LeBron James was a different player at the time, and his immaturity and inexperience held him back from achieving his maximum potential. Wade helped not only humble James but also empower him to lead without fear, and that's exactly what he did for his remaining 3 years with the Heat. None of it could have been possible without any member of the Big Three, but Wade is the guy who kept everything together, and he deserves credit for his leadership role during the early years of their partnership. No doubt, LeBron himself is very appreciative of Wade given how much success they achieved together. Bam Adebayo on Heat Standard, friendship with Jason Tatum, Team USA role, and more. Culture is a Miami Heat buzzword that received a lot of attention during last season's improbable and historic run to the NBA Finals as the Eastern Conference's number 8 seed. Despite an early first-round playoff exit this season, the Heat's culture continues to be a topic of discussion. With the Boston Celtics and Dallas Mavericks beginning the season's NBA Finals on Thursday, Heat center Bam Adebayo appeared on the latest episode of The Point Game with John Wall and CJ Toledano podcast and discussed what sets the Heat's culture apart. "To me, it's just a standard," Adebayo said during the podcast released on Wednesday. "People try to make up these myths and expletive like that. The biggest thing I could say about it is it's a standard. Every year, Heat coach Eric Spoelstra comes in and is like, this is what we're trying to get. We're trying to get the trophy. 16 wins, whatever that may be, but it's a standard because every day our coach walks in and challenges us. Every day, he walks in and is like, you're going to be prepared for what's about to happen in this season. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to execute. But it's the standard of always having to be that way, having to come in there and really lock in every day to the point where, like you get in the playoffs, it's second nature. Since being drafted by the Heat with the 14th overall pick in 2017, Adebayo has thrived in that environment. Adebayo is a three-time All-Star and was named to the NBA's All-Defensive First Team for the first time in his career this season after being selected for the All-Defensive Second Team in each of the previous 4 seasons. Warriors' Godfather trade offer would add projected $162 million All-Star, exec. Among the many trade rumors and bits of speculation bubbling up around the Warriors, one has stood out as both particularly odd and particularly intriguing: the notion of the Dubs taking on Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler. As a fit, Butler would bring the same kind of defensive grit and versatility on both ends as Draymond Green, while also maintaining a sterling reputation as a scorer and playoff performer. The problem is, the Warriors have little idea whether Butler will be available on the trade market in the coming weeks. Heat president Pat Riley, while notably knocking Butler for his postseason injuries early last month during his season-ending press conference, was also asked directly if he would trade Butler. No, Riley said, leaving little room for interpretation. While no means there were no plans to trade Butler in May, few believe that Riley would not be flexible in the right circumstances. Butler wants a contract extension, slated to be worth $162 million over 3 seasons, and the Heat do not want to give it to him. Butler turns 35 in September, and the Heat do have some concerns about bringing in a younger star who more closely fits Bam Adebayo's timeline. Adebayo turns 27 next month. I don't think anyone is sold on them trading away Jimmy Butler at this point. They have had their identity all tied up in Jimmy Butler since they got him, and that would be a tough thing to untangle, one NBA executive told Heavy Sports. But sure seems like now could be the time. If it is timeline that is the concern, then Butler would be an ideal player to team up with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green of the Warriors. Should the Heat and Butler reach an impasse over his extension, and should the Heat decide to deal Butler, they'll give Butler the courtesy of being involved in picking his next team. Anthony Slater of The Athletic reported last week that, if the Heat shop Jimmy Butler, I would expect the Warriors to enter the conversation to at least some degree. If they do it, if they look at trading him, they will listen to him. They're not going to send him to Detroit or Portland or somewhere he doesn't want to go. That's just how you treat a veteran guy in that situation, the exec said. The Sixers are likely to be a team for whom Butler would like to play, but the Sixers would need a third team, or more, to get involved. Philly has cap space and a handful of future picks, but neither is going to do much to keep Miami competitive now. The Knicks would have interest in Butler, but a deal would almost certainly involve Julius Randle, and the Heat don't want to add Randle to their mix. The Warriors, though, have players Miami could use. That's why they'd have to be a favorite if they decide to pursue Butler. But it would be costly, and essentially mortgage the Warriors' future. Golden State would have to hope that the Heat would be willing to bet on a bounce-back season from Andrew Wiggins, but also would have to deal away 2 promising young players, Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. That would sting. Kuminga, especially, has been coming into his own, at age 21. Moody is only 22. But those 2 players, along with Wiggins and further salary ballast, constitutes what the exec calls a Godfather offer that the Heat would not be able to refuse. The Warriors are the team to watch for me because Miami does not want to rebuild. They want to retool around Bam. If the Warriors did the Godfather offer, they could keep Miami competitive, get them younger, get them in a better spot, he said. And Jimmy would okay playing with Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, you'd assume. If he gets traded, it's a small list. The Warriors have the best assets to make it happen. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.